And delight to introduce Sanjay Chakrabarti. Sanjay has been an ex-colleague and a very, very dear friend. During the course of my profession, I can recount many, many episodes where Sanjay has left an impression with me, and really, more on the soft skills, the grooming. But And so, when I thought about doing a soft skills for the tax guild team, Sanjay naturally was my first port of call. I'm glad he agreed to be here. Thank you, Sanjay, for being with us. And I hope the others, but I don't want to share all the embarrassing incidents where you had to step in and groom me. So we are going to leave it here, and I'll hand it over to you.
Right. So we have, when you said it's for the next gen, I didn't realize that the next gen would be so young as well.
Oh yeah,
right next to you.
Sanjay, that's your charm. Everybody wants to listen to you.
Oh, yeah.
I must say, guys, Sanjay was one of the most charming men on the Express Stars 19th floor.
Okay, now that kind of I would have just colored my beard a bit if that was the whole tone that you were getting to. No, thanks so much for the invite, and I'm really glad to be here. So just when I got the subject really, and Seema, as you put it, and I would kind of like to start with that disclosure that I'm not really an expert on the soft skills from a especially theoretical side of it, so I will not get into what is the definition of soft skills and what are the various attributes from a technical standpoint. The whole idea is for me to share with all of you in terms of what's been my learning, and I'll try and see if I can bring in as many anecdotes to it for you to just get a perspective of how things started, and what have I really gained as far as soft skill is concerned. So with that, let me start with the first time, one of my very, very early experiences. And that time, post budget, we used to actually come up with a hard copy publication that was pretty much written the same day. It was written parallelly with the budget. It was put into publication by the end of the evening. Overnight, we used to kind of do proofreading. And the next morning, it used to be delivered to the clients. Now, in my first year, my responsibility was basically being that of a be fast guy, which is to deliver the hard copy. So while all this was to be done, as a first year intern, my responsibility out there was to deliver these hard copies to the clients. The only difference being that, yes, we had our jackets on and we had a tie on a, let me remind you, it was, budget being 20th, end of March, end of Feb. It used to be really hot. Despite that, you wear a suit, tie, and go and deliver stuff. The story that I'm coming to is that I had two seniors who I was working with, and both of them had allocated things to be delivered to their clients. In the first scenario, I remember the senior telling me, or rather I overheard the senior talking to the client saying that mera aadmi aayega aur aapko dega. That is all that I heard. So when I landed up out there, and pretty much there were other runners, office boys who were standing out to deliver something or the other, and I was made to stand along with, wearing that tie and a jacket with that budget booklet in my hand in front of the client's office. The client came out after around 25 minutes, and he was extremely embarrassed to see me standing there in this tie, jacket, and holding that budget book. And he said, I'm really sorry. I didn't realize that you had come, and that kind of stuff. And thank you so much. And please have tea and that kind of stuff. So that was my first senior allocating that work to me to deliver a budget booklet. The other senior who gave me the budget booklet, when I landed there, and asked at the reception, same thing, same booklet, same delivery. The client rushed out. He made me sit in a conference room. He offered me tea. Not only that, he went on to kind of inquire more about my background, where I've come from, how many papers I've written in CA, how many years for me to kind of qualify. And he also expressly mentioned that he got to know that I was one of the very strong performers in the organization. So effectively, to cut the chase, if you take these two scenarios, two people allocating work to same work to the same person, in scenario one, you get treated like a pretty much an office boy. And frankly, that was the job that I was doing. In scenario two, I was treated as if I'm the next CEO in waiting, and one of the most impressive guys out there who's and the client was really keen to know much more about me. So that really brings me to the fact that how soft skills plays a significant role in the way we do stuff. Obviously, it goes without saying, from that day onwards, I used to run away whenever there was any work that was being delegated by the first guy vis-a-vis the second person. I used to figure out ways, go and talk to him and ask him that, hey, I have time on hand, can I work for you, is there anything else that I can work with you? Because there was that instant thing that I wanted that same respect, regard that I got when he delegated work to me vis-a-vis the first scenario. So that to me was one of my first instances wherein I realized how really soft skills matters as far as the overall your entire career could be. And it doesn't matter what you're doing, and frankly it is not limited only to your work environment. It kind of transgresses into whether handling clients, whether at home with friends, wherever you go, within the community at large. Soft skills obviously plays a very, very important role. So that was really the first piece that I wanted to share with you. Before I get into the other aspects really, and some of the other things that I have in mind, and I don't want this to really be a monologue. I would, and I don't have the benefit of seeing you guys in front, so I don't know how many of you guys are dozing off on a Saturday morning. But I would love to get from you guys, what is it that really you want from the session? What could I share with you that would hopefully be more meaningful from your perspective? So if there is something that if we could have this as a more interactive session wherein you can ask me questions, and I would love to kind of be as transparent and honest as I can be. So if that is possible, that would really be great. So any questions, any thoughts, anything specific takeaways that you guys want from this next 50 minutes? This is almost looking like a school room wherein nobody wants to put up their hand and get into trouble. But I promise that I'm not going to kind of hold you accountable once you ask the question. But it would give me a good lead to discuss other stuff.
Disha, anything you want to pick up?
Okay, I guess it's too early in the day to get questions out. So let me then jump into the next side of things in terms of when you say soft skills, typically while there are a lot of definitions saying that okay, soft skills per se is what, and generally it is driven to presentation skills. It's driven to communication. How do you talk? How do you write? That is what a key part of soft skills are concerned. My sense is that indeed is extremely important. It is very, very important as to how you present yourself, how do you talk? And now the world has gone digital completely. So the essence of getting recorded every now and then, like as I'm talking here, in the past, we could have the same discussion in a classroom and forget about it. Whatever you have said, whatever mistakes you've made, however good or bad you are, it just stays in that classroom. We are 14 people on this call and it stays within those 14 people. But that's not the case any longer. You pretty much have a situation in the current environment that what we are doing even right now is going to be somewhere digitally stored and available to the rest of the world for times to come. So effectively, we stay in a world now wherein presentation and how you say things, how you do things is obviously very, very important. And there are a lot of things that goes into the presentation side of things. But the reality also is that your communication, 20% is verbal or written. 80% of your communication is your body language and how you express it. So just maybe on that subject, let me stop by and ask, anyone heard of Vishal Garg? He's in news today. As I was kind of reading through, he's pretty much being talked for the last week or so. Anyone remembers better.com or Vishal Garg? Yes, Disha, your mic is not working, but anyone else whose mic is working and wants to discuss or talk to the rest about who's Vishal Garg and better.com? Okay, Vishal Garg is he's a person of Indian origin. He's the guy who sacked people. I don't know how many people have seen that.
He's a guy who sacked 900 people, right?
He just came in and he said that, what, this is a, yes, absolutely. He did that on a Zoom call. He came in and he said that 10% people need to go, and because ABCD, and I've done this before and it's a tough thing. But what really lacked in everything that he said, my sense is that he could have said everything, though he went and then tweeted something else to people saying that, you work only 2 hours, you're stealing from us and you're stealing from customers. I don't know why he went and did that. That was like extreme. But at least looking at the way he spoke, the thing that I felt personally that was missing, though somewhere I felt that he was actually struggling to give that message. He was somewhere kind of uncomfortable, which everyone is bound to be. Anyone asking anyone to go, it obviously is not something that anyone wants to do. But there was an element of empathy that seemed to be missing in that whole communication. And that's what I believe is at the center of your soft skills. And somewhere, there's this whole debate of why is it called soft, or what is it? I don't know the genesis of why it's called soft skills. Vis-a-vis hard skills are your expertise, your domain knowledge about what you study, what you've qualified with, and soft skills is something beyond that. But I feel that maybe you could take a discussion saying that maybe it's called soft skills because it's all about empathy. It's all about your emotional quotient. So if you want to be good in soft skills, one of your, at least the way I look at it, one of the main primary agenda should also be to have that emotional quotient, to have that empathy for what you're doing. And once you have that, you automatically start doing things at the end of the day, which connects you to different people. And what is the whole agenda of the soft skill at the end of the day? The whole agenda for soft skills is that the reality is, whether it is the seniors you want to work with, it is the juniors you want to work with, it is the customer that you want to work with, it is, any ideal you want to take, whoever you take it, at the end of the day, you want that connect. When you build that connect, automatically you will see that things start flowing and good things start to happen, right? So wherein there is empathy, I believe automatically the soft skill index increases significantly. Again, I'll just take a stop. Anyone has a contrary view, any additions to the point, any thoughts, we can kind of discuss that. Okay, so moving to the next
I had
point.
a question.
Yeah, sure.
Isn't the 2080 a bit extreme? Like, technical
This is
skills
something
do count for something, yeah?
Yeah, it's a stated fact, so I don't know, it's supposed to be a scientific fact kind of a thing, but maybe one of the thing is that maybe the 2080 is put in because when you are looking at someone and taking kind of grasping things, even while he or she is talking, a big part of it is still the body language. It's not that when you're talking to someone or someone's talking to you, you kind of withdraw and just listen to the person as to what that person is saying. You're still clued on to the entire persona and how that is being said. And maybe I'll get a bit controversial, and one of my favorite guys, as far as at least the way he communicates, his communication, his presentation, the way he talks, is someone like Barack Obama, right? And if you see, when Barack was in the primaries, in the Democrat primaries, his main opponent was Hillary Clinton. Hillary had the political goodwill. Her husband was a two-term president and an extremely popular one in that. She had the experience. She was a foreign secretary. She was, she was someone who had been in politics forever. She was an insider. She was the first lady. She just had everything for her to really get that ticket. And personally, again, I'm just throwing stuff here. Whenever I heard both of them in the primary, I just felt that Obama was someone who I deeply connected with, and had nothing to do with the US election. I had absolutely nothing to do with US election, but I saw him and I wanted him to win. I wanted him to become the US president. While when I heard Hillary, I just couldn't connect. I just felt that something was missing in that communication. So if I step back and, no one will ever go out and be able to say that Hillary doesn't have good presentation skills or Hillary doesn't have good communication skills. It's obviously not the case, right? So they both of them have one of the finest presentation and communication skills. But what really personally stood out for me, and it's actually recorded by many people, that the way Obama connected with people was something that really turned the tide in his favor. So that is one of the things, Seema, I mean, just saying that.
I agree, Sanjay.
End of the day, I again can't, as I said, I'm not qualified even remotely to comment on what is the percentage, but I do genuinely believe that your ability to connect with is something that really drives home from a soft skills perspective.
No, absolutely, I agree. And so that's really, where I was coming from, and the point I wanted to drive home, that in a technical services firm, people do place a lot of emphasis on that. But it's really, it's just not what you say, it's how you say it that really makes all the difference. And it's across the spectrum, whether you're talking to your team, whether you're talking to the tax office, whether you're talking to the clients. It's just not what you're saying, it's how you're saying it, which will really leave the impact. Please carry on.
Absolutely. So in that, when you talk of empathy, when you talk of connect, when you talk of emotional quotient, the key driver I've seen is you have to be as honest and as real as possible. The reality is that you cannot completely be out there and completely have your cards open all the time, right? But the more you are able to train yourself, to push yourselves to do that thing, is where you will see that difference come through. I mean, one key example I have seen, and Seema, you've also worked abroad, so you'll know that. So inherently, and I feel that's a difference between the Indian advisory environment and a global, at least the US advisory environment. So in India, saying you don't know is something that we really, really struggle with. We really, really struggle with. If somebody asks you a question, we feel that it basically translates into your immediate brand value. So the moment you go back and say, oh, I don't know, or I don't understand what you're saying, or can you please repeat? It's just gone over me. I don't understand your question, is taken to be someone who's not the smartest around, because maybe the grasping ability is low, or maybe doesn't understand the subject or something else. Now, let me tell you, when I worked in my first 10 days of being in the US desk in New York, I was there in a big group, and this was like I was representing India, and there were other people from various countries, and this was only from EY's side. So we had like 15 senior people from EY's side from different countries, and the team was led by this guy called Jim Tobin, who was the head of international tax in globally for EY, and globally he was one of the top 5 most influential person in finance in the world, as per one of the ratings that had come up. And the number 1 person was, I remember, the finance minister for some country. The number 2 person was someone. So here, just seeing him, not only the EY side of people who were in complete awe of this man, the client side was there almost worshipping him. The client was there just to listen to what were the words coming out from his mouth, and this was it. So that was the setting. I remember in that meeting, couple of things that I picked up. One was that Jim actually came out and said that I don't know the answer to this. This is a really good question, and a question raised by the client to a solution that we gave. So effectively, let's take for a moment that somebody said, I think, so the client explained the question. We said, okay, this is your tax answer to it. The client raised that some issues around that answer, saying that what about ABCD? Wouldn't that kind of hinder what you're saying? And Jim actually got back and said, I think those are some excellent points that you make, and we will have to study this and get back to you. And my jaw literally dropped. I was like, he's the most influential guy, one of the most influential guy in this planet. And how would someone like him go back and say that I don't know, and the other person is making a better point, right? But the reality is that none of this changed anyone's perception about Jim. In fact, if anything else, it kind of strengthened the point that if Jim ever said something, it has to be right. Because if he doesn't know, or even if there is little bit of unclarity, he's going to tell that to me, right? I feel that, I've been away from obviously the consulting side of it for a while, but that's something, was a great learning for me. And I always picked it up as one of the things that if I want to come across as someone who is a trusted advisor to the client, who is recognized, who has a brand, I want to create my brand value around the fact that if I don't know, I'll say that I don't know. If I know, I'll say that I know, so that people start building that trust in me. And I feel that is part of the empathy, that is part of the trust building, that is part of the entire exercise that you do, which is part of the soft skills thing that you are finally looking at building. So any thoughts, any ideas anyone has come across situations wherein you've been asked a question and you did manage to say that you don't know, or alternatively, you heard someone very senior sitting down and actually giving the wrong answer in a very convincing manner. Any thoughts? This is a very silent group. Like really, I mean, is there any specific thing that you want me to cover? Is there anything that you feel I should talk about? I'm happy to keep blabbering around. That's something that kind of, and you guys can get off, because I can see, comments coming in on the chat box, but please feel free to, if that's okay with you, Seema, they can, get off the mic and talk as well.
Absolutely. Love it. I think Avnish has a point. He's saying he's experienced both scenarios. Avnish, would you like to share more with the group?
Hi Seema, hi Sanjay. I've come across a lot of scenarios where I remember during my initial tax days, I was at a CIT appeal hearing with one of the senior counsels. And that was, a matter where there was a lot of back and forth happening. And there came a stage where, CIT asked us a tough question, and, the counsel was very flipping through the pages. And a situation arose, and he just whispered into my ear, "Hey, I'm confused, help me out." And coming out from a senior counsel I was totally surprised whether to tell him what the fact is, or tell the CIT what the issue is. So there have been scenarios where people have come out and said, "Hey, I need more answers to what we are telling." But I take your point, Sanjay. It's not easy to say I don't know in front of a client, and especially in India.
No, absolutely, and I think it will. I'm hoping that it will change over a period of time, as and when we start realizing that at the end of the day. And I can tell you now that I've been an entrepreneur for the last 6-7 years. One is, no one's brand is made or broken by that one answer or that one question of saying I don't know. It's all a cumulative impact of what you've been doing over a long period of time that somebody forms a view. So it is something that is not, in fact, I've heard the reverse. Actually, I heard the reverse from one of the, partners that I had worked with. He was like, in a lot of the cases, we as professionals end up short selling ourselves because of our inner requirement to feel good about immediately answering a question that is posed to us. So that time, as part of a much larger organization, he was saying that we actually do disservice to the organization, because all that you want to do is keep yourself in focus, show yourself in good light, which is the other side of it. So for example, as an entrepreneur today, and I run a very small setup, so all that I'm interested in is, what is the answer? Yes, no, give me 2 good reasons. And we pretty much, especially at the startup level, we need quick answers. We have ABCD. We don't need like it's not like a MNC kind of a culture wherein you need to do a CYA and come up with a whole minded book to say why you are taking that position. If you're doing that, that's fine. That's something else, that is there. But the point I'm trying to make is, a lot of the time, especially tax professionals or any advisors, they maybe miss out the chance of actually creating a larger engagement and a more thoughtful engagement, wherein you're not just talking out of what is there in your mind, but giving it time, going back to the client and saying, okay, you know what, I understand this thing. There could be A, B, C, D impact to it. We need to study these areas and give us time, we'll get back to you. Right? At times, that really establishes your understanding of how it is. In fact, I strongly believe that to demonstrate someone's understanding, grasp, and intelligence, I would always focus on what questions that person is asking than what answers that person is giving. The better the quality of questions, I invariably feel that that person is better positioned on the subject than the other way around, wherein that guy is just throwing the answers. The answer is basically you've already dealt with something and you're kind of, dealing with that. While when you ask really good questions, you are really someone who's able to look at the bigger picture and understand that what is happening. So broadly, I think we're just moving out of the soft skill side of things, but my basic premise to all you people is that don't jump into don't be too worried about your impression or brand or whatever it is. A big large part of your soft skills is the ability to build that connect. There's no better way to build a connect than to come across as genuine, come across as who you actually are, then coming across someone that people don't start really connecting with, and it becomes difficult to build a relationship. So any other questions that you have on the soft skill side? Yes.
So Sanjay, you don't subscribe to the view that the first impression is the last impression, especially in a meeting, in the first meeting where you have the only opportunity to meet that person, and maybe you will not meet him the next time. and then the second part of the question is how do you improve on your soft skills, in the sense that what would be the 3 approaches which you have, or 3 steps which you will adopt on a going forward basis where you can improve on your soft skills in a real life situation?
Sure. See, it is, I wouldn't say, there's always 2 sides of the coin, depends on which side are you looking at it from. But let me share my story of my first day in office. My first day, we had this orientation program. We had to introduce ourselves, and I started speaking. I, said I was so and so. I used to actually play cricket at the junior level for Mumbai. And I went on explaining why my whole life at that point of time circulated around cricket. I mentioned to them that, listen, I joined Podar College because it had a very good cricket team. So everything was around cricket. And then I said that I realized I was not that good, couldn't make it to the national team. So I started doing CA because I had no other option. That's literally what I said. And that story went on. And I really looked around and I saw people were getting really bored. So I somewhere truncated that story by saying that I wanted to play cricket for India, but unfortunately I'm here. So that was my first impression at Arthur Andersen, which was quite merciless for anyone starting something, in that bad a note. And to make it worse, my very, very dear friend, close friend, had the same graph as me till that point of time. So he went on, when he was asked to introduce himself, he said, you know what, I played junior cricket, I was this, I was in Podar. We did our articles together, our initial stage of articles. So he kind of verbatim said everything that I said. But he ended by saying that, I also wanted to play cricket for India. But unlike Sanjay, I'm fortunate to join here. So that just made me, like, for the next, I don't know how many months, anyone pan India saw me. So he said, oh, you're the guy who's unfortunately here. So that was the first impression that I created, right? And I feel that one of the reasons that I kind of ended up doing that, because I was very eager to create that big impression. I was very eager to get in there first day, first show, and really make an impact out there. My sense is that at your level, you have to kind of think of, where you are. So I'm not taking it away, saying that, especially, the reverse is also true. In today's digital world, you have to ensure that your content in the first 1 minute or even 30 seconds or 15 seconds, like, as a consumer products company, for us, the whole deal is I have to say something across in 30 seconds, which will be impactful, meaningful, and interest the person. Otherwise, that person is not going to give me more than 30 seconds. However, when it comes to a tax advisor, someone, forget tax, any advisor, right? I certainly feel that if I have to plan, I would definitely not be so worried about the first impression, because I don't know what's going to impress that person or what's not going to impress that person. There are some people who are very detail oriented. They want very things in detail. There are some people who are very macro. They want things in macro. Some people like you being formally dressed. Some people don't like you being formally dressed. There are so many permutation combination. So finally, I would play on my strength, which is being me, which I do most of the time and which I'm most comfortable with. So that is my first answer on that. The second point on improving the soft skills, the first thing that I used a lot and it really helped me was I used to really look at people in the organization who I felt were really good at soft skills and who had this connect, who had this charisma, who had these qualities that I wanted to imbibe. And I used to keep just looking at them and what they were doing, how they spoke, how they presented, what was their demeanor, how did they speak to juniors, seniors, clients, and that's it. And I've realized, and I can tell you one of the partners' name and Seema Bhavya, we worked with him, is someone called Sanjay. He's a partner in EY right now. He was someone who was a complete role model for me as far as soft skills were concerned, because he was just like you couldn't miss him. You just couldn't miss him. And I feel that a lot of my body language today, a lot of the way I speak potentially mirrors what Sanjay is, because I've just seen him. And it's not that you go see him and make notes and make a diary saying, okay, Sanjay says this, so I will also have to say this. It just happens. So the first point, people you find, it could be Obama, it could be whoever, it could be anyone that you feel is impressive, because everyone's style is different, right? You just that has helped me a lot in terms of looking at them, and that's one thing that I've realized. The second piece is look at yourself on camera and see what is happening around. Get yourself recorded at times, or any of these events that you're doing now. Digital is everywhere, right? So it's not very difficult to get yourself recorded and look at it. Now I can tell you my experience. I was reasonably well known. I mean, pushing the line of modesty a bit, I was reasonably well known for my presentation skills while in the organization in India. So when I went to US, we were doing these podcasts, and we were with people from Europe, from different countries, which they were not very fluent in English. What I realized is, and I was obviously therefore very confident, and people were asking me questions and I was giving them answers and I was very fluent with it. What I realized at that point of time, that when I spoke, I would have this, when I'm thinking, I have this, sound that comes in, which I had never picked up. I've seen nobody had ever told me that is a problem with me. So everyone would come across and say that, hey, you're a great trainer, you speak really well, you present really well. But I was really shocked the first time I actually paid attention and listened to it. I realized that there were two, like the Europeans, the English was broken. But when I heard my session vis-a-vis theirs, I actually preferred theirs. And this whole habit of that while thinking kind of a sound, and you'll realize a lot of us do that. it was very difficult for me to get away from that. I actually had thereafter, whenever I used to go, believe it or not, I had one of my colleagues sit down there and note how many times I would make that sound while talking at events. And I do that even now. If I'm not conscious, I do that even now. I find it difficult to take a silent pause. I start making that noise. So my point is that you have to see yourself and critically analyze. If you have friends who you can go out to, you're comfortable with, ask them as to what is it that you're doing which will help you to just be better. And the point is that there is nothing like saying that I have arrived and I don't need any further guidance from anyone, because every time, so long as you're working on yourself, it will only improve your overall skills. And the third is actually stepping back and seeing, and it's nothing that you can practice per se, but seeing whether you're being genuine over a period of time. It unfortunately, we live in a world which is extremely fast, and you at times get into a certain mindset which just drives your entire thinking process. It's always good to once in a while find that mentor who you can go and talk to and say that, okay, broadly, this is what I feel that I'm doing. Is this getting me somewhere better than what can I do better in short, than what I'm doing right now? So those are some of the things. So one is to conclude, one is see people who are really good at soft skills, try to figure out a way how you can improve on that. Secondly, you try to see yourself digitally and see how that goes. Third is try and see if you can find a friend, mentor who you can talk to over a period of time and assess how your improvement goes. So make it an agenda. Don't just let it flow. Don't let it be like, okay, it's there. Keep working on it. At the back of your mind, remember that this is a critical part of the way your career is going to genuinely shape up. You need to be as serious about soft skills as you are about your hard skills. Right. So these are the 3 points. Any other questions? Yeah, Seema.
I just wanted to add one more thing to, sorry, I don't know your first name, Mr. Bhatawala's question on the first impression being the last impression. I think the point here is that let your first impression be the genuine impression of you, and everything else will fall into place. So you should not kind of, try and over impress anyone. Just be yourself. If you don't know something, you just go back and say, I will look into it and come back to you. As long as you respect the person you're talking to, you make him realize that what he's asking is important. And even if you don't know and you promise to come back with an answer, that's good enough, I would say. Yeah, Sanjay.
Absolutely. Any other questions? Any other thoughts?
Yes, I'd like to add something here. As Seema correctly said, that you can always have a genuine impression rather than being someone that you're not. And also, I have a thought here that a first impression may be not the last impression, but it is definitely a lasting impression, but not the last one. So you create something. If you created something that you're not, you can always go back and change yourself, and then you can come back as the actual person that you are. That is the only thought I had. Another question that I had regarding the 3 approaches that you just mentioned. So I understand all of them have some kind of a human approach there. Do you suggest any other way wherein a human, I know that is the best way, of course, when you get your feedback and you learn better out of it. But let's say you don't have that kind of a circle or someone to, to tell you that you're not going in the right path. How do you find? So if you don't have a mentor like you did, is there any other way, like a book or a habit that you can regularly do, or something apart from having an interaction?
Yeah, there are a lot of self-help books on the soft skill side. Frankly, I have not read most of them, and I'm not a very voracious reader. It's all, I wouldn't say those don't work. I think at the end of the day, I strongly believe that if you at the back of your mind believe that it's an important subject, you believe that you want to improve on those particular things, you will slowly figure out what works for you, what doesn't work for you as a channel, right? So as far as mentors are concerned, I want to also make a specific point, which I feel is again very India centric, is when you look at people who have excellent communication skills, excellent presentation skills, but they struggle with the language. And when I say language, is only English language, right? We pretty much, and those people pretty much get cornered, and they just refuse to bloom because they feel just because their English is not very fluent, therefore they should not be out there talking, and they will never be considered as one of the people who are good in soft skills. And I want to kind of underline it here that there are some of the people who are really, really bad at spoken English, but are the most effective when it still comes to soft skills and communication in English, because they have that confidence and they don't care as to what is the English that they're speaking in, or whether it's grammatically right or wrong. And let's face it today, like if we go out in UK, people, while we think we are really good in English and the way we speak, people are going to laugh at the way we speak, right? If you go and speak English in US, you wouldn't have a clue of what they are talking about, right? When I say clue in the sense that obviously you'll get it, but it's a completely different conversation. I think there is too much emphasis here. It's a burden that is put on people's head. And therefore, I wanted to kind of clarify that it's not about how soft skills is not about being Shashi Tharoor. It's not that just because, Shashi Tharoor's soft skills, obviously this man has brilliant soft skills, but doesn't mean that you have to throw out some tough words or speak in a very impressive manner to kind of demonstrate that your soft skills is good. Whatever you say, whichever language you speak in, so long as you're comfortable, going back to the point of saying that the genuine you, your comfort level, again, I'm not saying that you don't try improving your English. That is obviously a situation that you constantly keep doing. If your English is not very fluent, figure out the ways how you can get there. I mean, watch English movies, news, read up a lot. It will happen slowly. But don't wait for you to become a Shashi Tharoor before you start feeling confident about it. This day, right now, irrespective of how your language is, and we've discussed that, that was my first statement, that your 80% is your body language that people are picking up to see whether you're genuine, whether you're confident, whether you're true, whether you kind of give that positive vibe and energy, which is helping you build that real connect between two people. So again, just kind of digressed a bit around that side, because I wanted to make that as a specific point, that having good fluent English is great. We should keep looking at improving that if that is not our strength. But please don't think even for a second, and more importantly, don't allow anyone to even for a second make you believe that because your English is not that good, there's something lacking in you. At that point of time, there's nothing lacking in you as far as soft skill is concerned. I don't know whether people agree with that. I don't know whether in the current Big Four scenario or otherwise, but I can tell you with my experience, I've seen a lot of the people do really well, wherein their English is not that strong. And I hope that over a period of time, that emphasis is going to reduce and people are really going to focus on what is your content, who you are, rather than, what you're packaged in.
Sanjay, I just wanted to supplement I wanted to add something. So, it's a very common belief that what people feel that it is something which comes naturally to you, soft skills. But I feel that it is acquired. You can practice, you can acquire good soft skills by being whatever points you mentioned, like being honest, being, true to yourself. And confidence, there are certain books also, I think somebody was asking, so you can probably refer to authors such as Amy Cuddy. So she talks about power posing. Then there is Caroline Goyder. She talks about breath work. uh, and I think, yeah, Caroline Goyder, the book is Gravitas. It's a very good book. If you want, you can refer to that. And Amy Cuddy talks about power posing a lot. So, all these, if you read these books and if you practice it, and then you can practice before in front of a camera, or you can see your video yourself, listen to it. Like if you want to probably go for a hearing or something, like we as tax professionals, just, on your phone, just do a voice recording before going and talking, and then you can just listen to it. You'll yourself be able to assess. You don't even need a mentor for that matter. You can probably find out where you are lacking, what you need to improve on. So I think, yeah, these were just my two bits what I wanted to add.
No, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the other small things, and it works for me off and on. I don't know whether this is something specific or it's just me. I feel when you're talking to the person, three things that I try and do. One is have eye contact. Just look into the other person's eye. Immediately, the attention that you get, and obviously in a group, in a room filled with people, you have to decide, you can't just keep looking at one person all the time, that not trying to hypnotize that guy, but over a period of time, you can move around. But when you're talking to that person, be very clear that you have that eye contact. Secondly, equally clear is that what I feel is a very, very strong part of soft skills is actually listening to someone, then talking. And invariably, especially when we come prepared, and as advisors, when we come prepared, we have 10 points that we have to tell this person. That is our main goal. I'm not saying for everybody, but usually you prepare a way where you have a whole thing saying, I have to tell him 10%, 10 things. And when you've said three things, and when the person is talking to you about that, there could be two scenarios. One is he or she is trying to cover something that you've spoken about, or as you call it, out of syllabus. The person has come up with some 11th or random 12th point. The deal is that you need to listen more than you speak. Third is, it always helps to smile. Now, it can't be a absurd smile, right? It can't be that there's some very serious discussion that is happening, and out of the blue you're just smiling for no rhyme or reason, right? But at the same time, when you come into the room, for instance, and that was a whole deal, that how do you create a first impression? A lot of it is just your body language, just how you come across, not someone who's coming riding on high horse, wherein he says that, okay, I have arrived, rest of you all disappear, kind of a thing, or come in very subservient, saying that, oh, you're my client, you're paying my fees, or you are a legend in tax or whatever, so I am like this little rat out there, inconsequential. I'm saying, just again, going back to what Seema mentioned, Bhavya mentioned, just being yourself, being there, making smile a part of your body language. And when I say smile, the genuine smile, that someone feels nice when they see that thing, which is the only way you can get that smile is when you're genuine. The only way that happens is if you are relaxed, if you are really chilled and you are really looking forward to it, and then you smile. It's a very different smile than when you're putting it on or trying to impress someone or trying to do something else. right? So if I say very specific, these are very granular points that has worked for me. One is eye contact. You can be talking to one person, you can be talking to a group of 500 people. There also try and see if you can get eye contact of people wherever you can for that nanosecond, and then go to the next person, then go to the next person. Second is, don't get in there wanting to push your agenda. Spend more time listening than talking. The more you'll address their point, the more it will work in your benefit. And as I said, the third is, a smile always helps. You don't know an answer, you basically smile and tell that person, listen, this is a brilliant question. I don't know. Give me an hour, give me a day, give me a week. I promise I'll get back to you with that answer. And I cannot imagine anyone looking at you and feeling that, oh, this guy is someone I don't want to work with. So again, that just has worked with me. Hopefully some of these things should work for you guys as well. Yeah, so we've crossed the 1 hour schedule. Any questions? Anything that I missed out on? Please let me know now. You can reach out to me later on. Happy to take questions. Over to you, Seema.
Thank you, Sanjay. Does anyone have any questions? Any observations, any comments, anything? Thank you, Sanjay, very much. As always, absolute pleasure and delight to listen to you. I hope it's been very enlightening for everyone. Sanjay, this is something we want to keep continuing, and we will keep inviting you. Obviously, you're free to say no, but we would love to have you over to keep talking, and I'll share feedback with you. These sessions are really highly appreciated. After 20 years in the profession, there was still a lot I learned from your lecture today. So thank you very much, Sanjay. I just wanted to tell everyone on a parting note that also remember that in any sort of group setting, and one is I want to encourage all of you all to keep going to office more. I know the remote thing is very comfortable, but trust me, what you'll learn in person in office, just by absorbing the behavior of people around you, observing them, those subconscious things that get into you, that cannot, it's like education, you cannot really measure the outcome, but it really shapes you as a person. So I would encourage all of you to start going to office as much as you all can, because these skills, it's a lot of it just comes from meeting people in person, observing. I've had the benefit of observing Sanjay for a very long time, picked up very lots and lots of good things from Sanjay. The other thing, as you'll start going to office and as you'll start having more group discussions, always remember to be respectful. So even if somebody makes a very foolish point, there is no need to disrespect that person in public or anything. See, there's no point in winning an argument and losing a person. You just you have to be the graceful one, you have to be the bigger person and let it go. So always remember that. That's like one thing I wanted to tell to the younger generation, that don't escalate arguments in a group setting. And people can, make out who's saying the right thing. You don't just have to say it, I'm right. So that was just one more thing I wanted to add. Bhavya, anything else?
So thank you, Sanjay, for such a lovely session. Yeah, same as Seema. I also learned a lot today from you. Thank you so much.
20
My
years
pleasure,
and
yeah.
learning.
More than happy to get back at any point of time. Just makes me feel younger talking to all you people as opposed to what I'm used to now.
Next time I'll give you notice to color the beard, Sanjay. All right. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks.
I hope all of you all enjoyed it. It was an absolute delight, Sanjay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you,
See you
everyone.
guys. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.